Hi, kindergarten friends. I thought you would enjoy this book that I just got in the mail. I'm really excited. It's called From Seed to Plant, and the author is Gail Gibbons. And it's a really cool book that talks about how plants are created, and I just thought you would like it since we've been talking a little bit about plants when we've Zoomed together, and there's lots of plants blooming right now all around Norman, so I thought you might like this. From Seed to Plant. And the illustrations are just beautiful. So this says most plants make seeds. A seed contains the beginning of a new plant. So you might even recognize some of these flowers and different things that might grow around in your yard. I know in my yard we've got roses growing. So this says seeds are different shapes, sizes, and colors. You might even be finding some seeds on the ground. This one looks really familiar. Do you know the name of this? Yeah, an acorn. I see those a lot when I'm out walking my dogs. All seeds grow into the same kind of plant that made them. So a sunflower seed is going to grow into awesome. And an acorn will grow into an oak tree. Many plants grow flowers. Flowers are where most seeds begin. So you might see dandelions in your yard. I know actually we've got zinnias that are going to come up at some point soon in our front yard. And I thought this was neat because this talks about the flower and what the parts are. So there's different names. This part is called the sepal, and this one you know is the stem. And there's ovules, which are the egg cells of the plant. And in the middle of the plant is this thing called a pistil. The sticky top part of the plant is called a stigma. And this you definitely know. This is the pollen of the plant, right? And these are the petals. So here's the word petal. And then the parts of the flower around this pistil are called the stamens. So these little pieces are called the stamens. So plants have parts of their body just like we have parts of our body. Before a seed can grow, a grain of pollen from the stamen must land on the stigma at the top of the pistil. So it sounds complicated, but really, before plants can grow, they have to pollinate. They have to pollinate. Now, here's a little bit more information on that. Pollination happens in different ways. Sometimes the wind blows pollen all around, and it might blow pollen from flower to flower. And then we also know that bees and hummingbirds and other insects, they help pollinate. That's why bees are so important, is that they help spread pollen, right, around, so they help things grow. Those bees are so important. The bees carry pollen from one flower to another. And you know what? Hummingbirds do that too. So that's pretty, when you see a hummingbird or a bee, you might have to give them a big thank you because they do a lot for us. They keep all of our flowers growing. So I thought we could go forward a little bit and talk about how some seeds fall to the ground around the plant where they're growing. So as the plant maybe dies, some of its seeds come off into the ground. And then there's even some plants where their seed pods pop open, and that's how some seeds spread. And this is interesting. Sometimes when birds are eating berries, they also might drop some of the seeds. And I know that sometimes when birds poop, guess what? They poop out some seeds, and they help spread plants to grow too. And this says other seeds fall into streams, ponds, rivers, or the ocean, and they travel along on the water. So there's lots of ways that these seeds can help go places. And this is pretty cool, right? There's animals that also help seeds grow. I know that squirrels, they like to hide their acorns, and then guess what? They might forget where to find them, and those acorns might actually grow into an oak tree, a mighty oak tree. And I don't know about you, but I've been doing a little bit of planting. So this talks about a flower bed and a vegetable garden. And you might buy seeds from the store. Thumbs up if you bought some seeds and maybe done some planting already. This looks a lot like me. I've been planting a little bit in my garden. So she's planting lettuce and corn, and she bought some seeds and now she's going to plant them in her garden. So here's a close-up of a seed, right? The beginning of the plant is inside of that seed. But it's not going to sprout into anything until something happens. First, it needs to be in the soil. Then it needs rain. And when we talked about plants last week, a lot of you noticed that plants need things, right? They can't just grow on their own. They need sunshine and rain. And so here, the seed is starting to grow up, 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 and spread some leaves up and out. The leaves are growing up towards the sun. That's right, the sun. And it grows bigger and bigger and bigger, and then look at what has happened. It's getting out into bloom now. So buds on the plant are starting to open up. And now you could see that the gardens are starting to grow, right? In the fall, people might start to, or even later in the summer, people might start to pick some of the things that they grow. What are some of the things that you notice that these folks have grown in their garden? Can you name some of these things? You can point to them and name them, right? They've grown strawberries and corn. I love corn. What do you think this is, this green thing? Lots of cool things that they planted, and they're going ahead and snacking on some of those yummy things. I love that. So that is the story From Seed to Plant, and I just thought that was such a cool book that I had to show you. And I wondered what you thought about that book, and if you had any questions, or you might make some connections to the plants and the seeds and things that are growing out in your yard, or maybe that you've seen on walks. All right, scientists, keep looking for plants. Keep asking good questions. Bye, friends.